Scholars. So today I am going to be working with you on one of the articles you were assigned in ReadWorks. It's actually a pair of articles. They're grouped together because the questions that we're going to be working on, some of them are going to ask you to look at both articles. So the two articles that you were asked to read one is called the Pueblo Revolt, and one is called Native American Homes. And in your question set, if you look at question number 5, it asks you to compare the Native Americans described in Native American Homes with the Native Americans described in the Pueblo Revolt. So the first thing that I need to do is I need to find the different Native Americans named in each of these two articles. So in order to remember that, I'm actually going to create a list of what groups are named in each of these articles. And that will help me when I then have to go ahead and compare them, right? So first I'm going to look at Native American homes, and I'm just going to look for what groups are named in this article. And as I go through it, and you are going to be going through this on your own, I'm expecting that you've already read this article. Again, if you have not read it yet, please pause this video, go ahead and read the article, and come back to this video once you've done that. But as I read through this article, I notice a few different groups. I notice the Iroquois. And what it says about the Iroquois is they lived near a river. It says they built long houses. If I continue down, I see another group here called the Haida. And about the Haida, it mentions that they lived in the Pacific Northwest. So that's like Oregon and Washington State. So that's above LA, right? It's over California. If I continue to read, I see the Lakota. They lived in the Great Plains. That's sort of the middle of the United States. And they lived in tents, long tents, right? And then it actually does mention the American Southwest. It mentions the Pueblo Indians and the Navajos. So as I'm reading this, I already noticed, well, this is talking about Pueblo Indians, and this is called the Pueblo Revolt. So I'm thinking already that that might be a group that's mentioned in both. Now, as I look at the Pueblo Revolt, obviously it's going to talk about the Pueblo Indians. And when I get what it says, right, it talks, even in the first paragraph, it talks about Pueblo people, right? But as I get to the back, or it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 paragraphs in for you all, it says the Pueblo people were not a single unified group. In fact, the name Pueblo Indians comes from the Spanish colonists who wanted to distinguish the type of Native Americans that lived together in villages and cultivated the land from the type of nomadic tribes that roamed the region. Truthfully, the so-called Pueblo Indians were composed of many different nations, including, so I want to take this down, the Tewa, the Tiwa, the Hopi, and the Zuni. And what it says about these people is that they had their own languages and customs, and They spoke different languages, right? So they're not actually the same group. So now, what is the question? The original question that asked me to do something, it asked me to compare and contrast the two groups of Native Americans. So I'm going to use this, and I'm also going to use a Venn diagram, which is something that we have talked about in class, to try to talk about, all right, what does it say only in this article? What does it say only in this article? And what does it say in both? Well, in this article, it talks about, here's my pen. It talks about, I already have it here, the Iroquois, the Haida, the Lakota, and the Navajo. It also talks about the Pueblo Indians, but so does this article. So the Pueblo Indians are actually going to go into this centerpiece here, right? Because they're in both. The Pueblo people. But what does this article do? And that should be a different color, I apologize. What does this article do more than this article? What does this article do that this article didn't do when talking about the Pueblo people? Well, I would say this article told us more specifics about the Pueblo people. And I want to remember to give examples of this. So I will give the examples that I already have listed here. The Tiwa, the Tewa, the Hopi, and the Zuni. So now what I've done is I've set myself up for success, because when I'm answering this question, I already have notes organized that compare these two groups based on what I read in the articles, right? I can't do this without having read the articles first. So now that I have this, I can start forming my answer to my question. So my answer needs to compare the two the way Native Americans are described in both articles. That's what the question is asking me to do, just compare the different groups. So I could say something like, in Native American homes, the article mentions the Iroquois, the Haida, the Lakota, the Navajo. Both articles talk about the Pueblo people, but one difference in the Pueblo Revolt is it tells me more about specific Pueblo groups. For example, the Tiwa, the Tewa, the Hopi, and the Zuni. So in that answer, let's think, did I compare the two articles? Yes, I said what one article talks about, I said what the other article talks about. Did I mention any similarities? Yes, I said they both talk about Pueblo people. One thing I need to remember to do is I need to remember to name the articles. So I can't just say one article says this and the other article says that. I have to remember to name them. In the article, Native American Homes, it talks about this. In the article, the Pueblo Revolt, it talks about this. And now you have compared the two articles. I hope that was helpful. As always, please reach out with any questions. I am available to you via Google Classroom, via our class website, via Class Dojo, whatever it is, please reach out so I can help you and just so we can check in and I can see how you're doing. All right, I love you all very much and I miss you, and I will see you soon.